Dear guests, welcome to today's webinar on enhancing SAP Analytics Cloud with Galigeo Location Analytics. In the next 30 minutes, we will cover a dense agenda where, after mutual introductions, you will learn about Galigeo, who we are, what the Galigeo Location Analytics platform is and how we believe it enhances SAC. There is a call to beta testers candidates because Galigeo for SAC is a young product. In return, if you buy, you will benefit from reduced pricing. And of course, you will see a demonstration based on real data hosted within SAC. Before we end the half hour, you will be able to ask questions and we will also run a short survey. So let's move on. Presentations on team. On Galigeo's side, we're based in the Paris region. Vincent, product manager, who you know because he's also in charge of Galigeo for Lumira products. Johnny, who joined Galigeo 1 year ago and who quickly dove into the internals of Galigeo software to develop the product you will see today. Myself, Christian, for this webinar in a business development role. Who is attending this webinar today? We did not expect so much interest, so we are delighted to say that you are in the hundreds from many parts of the world. You're mostly technical staff. I trust you will not be disappointed by what you see today. We want you to walk out of this with enthusiasm, ready to implement Galigeo for SAC in your respective companies, or if you are a partner, for your respective customers. Please take note of our standard recorded and mandatory legal disclaimer. Before we dive into Galigeo for SAC, for those who do not know us, I will say a couple of words about Galigeo. Galigeo is a SaaS software vendor, both cloud and on-premise. We are a pure location intelligence player since 2001. Our clients are mostly large B2B customers and all over the world. We have strategic partnerships with SAP, IBM, and Salesforce. We are part of the SAP ISV program, so you can find us in the SAP store. Last but not least, we have partners and resellers worldwide. Galigeo's mission is to provide apps that combine location intelligence, machine learning, and business data to improve business efficiency. A Forrester Wave survey rated Galigeo among the top 8 location intelligence providers. Please check it out. We follow on the agenda with Galigeo Platform Basics. You may know Galigeo for SAP BI that runs on top of SAP, shown on the lower part of the diagram. Not in the diagram, it runs similarly on IBM Cognos and Salesforce. Galigeo also runs by itself on the cloud and on premises, shown in the right part of the diagram. Galigeo has a no-code API to integrate with most data sources, and that is how we have created the new Galigeo for SAC product, subject of today's webinar. Galigeo for SAC, like all of our products, connects to underlying data sources to get the business data requiring maps and their visual representation. If you have geodata on a GIS server, open source or ESRI, you can also leverage it so as to preserve past investments. This can happen through a web service or shapefiles. So why all this software technology? The end purpose of Galigeo products is to help solve business pains and achieve results. The platform provides collaborative location analytics. This helps users understand a location's performance. Locations may take the form of points representing addresses, of lines representing streets, railroad tracks, or segments, and areas representing cities or census areas. With that geographic information, users in their specific business domain can share data and visualize growth rates, proximity, accident rates, footfall, socioeconomic parameters, and build whatever KPIs are relevant to them. The platform is an enterprise-level solution, fully integrated and in compliance with SAC security standards. The platform is user-friendly. You do not need to be an expert in mapping. The basic concepts and handling can be easily assimilated. What did you get with Galigeo for SAC? You get the platform I just described as an SAC add-on for any purpose location analytics. But you also get business modules for territory management and geo-marketing, just to name two examples. These are business verticals for retail, distribution, sales managers, and sales teams. Galigeo for SAC also provides a migration path if you are decommissioning Lumira or Webby. If you migrate, you can reuse existing geo assets, as I said before. Functionally, Galigeo Location Analytics supports decision-making in 4 basic steps: data gathering, data selection, data analysis, and operations. In data gathering, you choose, you reuse, and procure the data. In data selection, you visualize, you navigate, and you focus on the required data. On data analysis, you visualize, you discover trends. And in operations, you decide, you execute, and you guide the end user. Each step has its easy-to-use characteristic feature, which is listed in yellow on the slide. So on the basis of the previously described functional primitives, Galigeo constructs business verticals that guide users step by step. In this territory management example, we begin on the left with territory analysis, where users visualize market data, performance, accounts, opportunities, and market share. Then the planner designs, redesigns, and simulates new territories. For example, with the objective of creating well-balanced areas with equivalent business potential. Next, when the territories are ready, they are assigned to managers, teams, and/or individual sales staff. At the end of the process, on the right, sales reps get and see their accounts, their potential, and can plan their day, week, or month to attain their objectives.
Thanks, Christian, for the introduction. I'm going to explain in a few words, without being too technical, how our solution works within SAP Analytics Cloud and more specifically SAP Analytics Designer. Before starting to develop anything, our motto was no hack. We really wanted to offer something that would be natively integrated within the SAC environment. So in order to do that, we have used the custom widget SDK offered by SAP Analytics Designer, and through the SDK, we have created a bridge to the Galigeo Cloud platform, so the users can have access to all the features we already provide, and more specifically, that we already provide in on-prem SAP BI products like Webby or Lumira, but here fully integrated within SAP Analytics Designer reports. So as you can see in the architecture schema, the person designing the application will be able to connect to the data the same way he does it today. He will be able to create reports and applications the same way he already does. But his environment will be like upgraded with powerful geo-mapping features and he will be able to leverage them directly from his reports and applications and better answer use cases, requirements for his business users. So I was mentioning SAC accesses the data and then pass the data to Galigeo custom widget that passes it to the Galigeo Cloud platform for spatial processing and so on. So the main thing to be remembered is no hack, native integration, or at least close to native integration, security for the company, because we are implementing a connection to the SSO system of SAC, so Galigeo and SAC can share the same user logged in. And completeness, because you will find in Galigeo for SAC all the features you perhaps are already leveraging in Galigeo for SAP BI on-prem. And on that, I will hand over to Christian, who will show you the demo that you guys are all eagerly waiting for.
We prepared a demo case inspired by an article from The Guardian last year. At the time, there was an unexplained resurgence of COVID cases in Montreal. Through this example, you will see the location analytics that you can do with SAC. Before we go onto the demo, I would like to remind attendees that we will invite you to register for the beta program of Galigeo for SAC. We're limiting the beta program to the 3 most representative candidates. More on this later. To you, Vincent.
Okay, so let's jump into the analytics part of this webinar. So what we can observe is what I'm showing in this initial view are the total number of COVID-19 cases by arrondissement in the city of Montreal, which are there displayed as color plus. By just taking a look, there we get the patchwork view and it's hard to see a pattern. So we can go a little bit further already by adding a heat map of these new cases. So the heat map shows the density of new cases, but with more granularity. But still, it's not possible to find any trends right here. But as we have the data aggregated by week, that means that we can run the time series segmented by week. So there, the animation starts at the week 13 of this year, corresponding to March 17th. So for the first few weeks, we can observe the new cases spreading across the whole city, then followed by a relative slowdown. But as we are going to see in the incoming weeks, we will be able to highlight there using our time series a resurgence of new cases. And this resurgence comes from the northern district of the city. And it seems to be spreading to the southwest on the week after, which in our case corresponds to the last week. So that's really interesting. And at this point, after finding this insight, we want to go more in depth and add new data to our analysis to try to find correlation between these new cases and the reason why they are happening. So first, let's quickly filter the data to only show coronavirus cases for the last 2 weeks. So the 2 weeks that are interesting us. Okay. Now we are going to add some contextual data that I've been able to find on Statistics Canada Open Data Portal. So I've pre-selected the data that seemed the most interesting for us there, such as the median revenue by household and by district or the population density. So I've turned on my layer of information. So there you see the median revenue by household by district. And you can immediately see a trend where the lower income households are located in the north and the richer ones are located in the southwest. I can use a quick filter mechanism again to only show districts with the lowest income by households. And if we overlay again the new cases for the past 2 weeks, we can observe a correlation between these districts and the resurgence of people getting infected by the virus. And we can even go further and add another layer of contextual data, in our case, the population density. So it's shown as stripes right there. So we can overlay nicely the 2 layers of information on top of each other. Let's also select another base map right there. Let's pick a darker one so we can see better what's happening. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is also quick filter there the population density district to only keep the one with the highest density, population density. And again, it's leaving me with the district in the northeast of the city, as you can see right now. So it really seems interesting because there is a correlation for this resurgence, as you can see right there, which is based on the population density combined to the lower income households. And so it gives us insights about which population are currently being mainly infected, and so where are the areas and population at risk right now. So now that I have, okay, so you see the heat map correlations with the two KPIs that we have set. So now that I have overlaid these different data, I can use the fact that they are spatially located on the same place, and even if they do not share a common attribute besides their location, we can use the two of them to create on-the-fly metrics for my analysis. So for instance, we could calculate on-the-fly metrics to evaluate the probability of getting infected if you live in this part of the city, so regarding the district that you live on. So let's, for example, create something, I would say, quite simple for the sake of this demonstration. So a ratio between the new cases and the population density. So we can quickly merge, I would say, combine together the attributes from the two geodata that we have set on the map to create a new measure. And then we will be able to interact with this measure on the map. Okay, I'm all set with my formula. So I'm going to validate everything, and we are going back to the map view right there. And so if I click on the district, as you can see on the right panel, you have access to this new ratio that has been calculated. And what we are going to see right now is that if we click on some of the districts on the north, on the southwest, that you have likely 16 times less chance to get sick from COVID if you live in the south than if you live in the north, which makes, I would say, a huge difference. And of course, there, based on what I have calculated right now, I could reuse this new metric to create a new layer of information and to map it on the map, rather than just having it available there in my right panels alongside the other attributes. So now, which other location data could I use if I want to strengthen my analysis, if I want to go further? So I've been looking at other data like transport data, and I found on the Transport Montreal website some interesting data about transportation that could help us here, and especially data about the occupancy rate of public transport. So there I'm importing the file that I've downloaded, and while I'm doing that, just a few words to say that these data are not relative to the pandemic period, but it will help us understanding in a normal situation if there are transport lines that are busier than the others. So I added this new data on the fly. You see that there I have access to new attributes. And I will be able to use these attributes to create my new layer of information. So first, let's clean up the scene a bit by turning off some layers, so it will be easier for you to see what's going to happen. Okay, so, and I'm down there, I'm going to add the occupancy rate to the map. So the tool lets me choose which type of representation I want to add. And just by doing drag and drop, I now have access to my new layer of information. And again, if I use my filters, I can highlight that the busiest lines, they seem to be located in the north and the east of the city. So there, the insight and conclusion that we can drive from what we have been able to see is that lowest income populations, they are working in fields that requires them to be present physically. And after a few weeks off, because of the confinement, this population had limited income, and they probably went back to work using transport lines because they had no car available. And this is part of the population that do not own a car. And nobody knows if they were wearing a mask or not. And because some were already sick, and the fact that they live in more crowded areas of the city, it did not help. And so it created a new outbreak that rapidly spread across some part of the city. and for instance, where these people work. So there we have been able to see co-location analytics in just a few minutes by overlaying heterogeneous layer of information is being really helpful to understand the situation, especially to detect areas and population at risk, and then allowing us to draw data-based conclusion. Okay, so what can we do next? What we could try to do now is analyzing this population by selecting them using spatial filters. So what I'm going to do right now is activating another useful layer of information which displays the public hospitals. There we don't have any metrics like bed occupancy, bed available by hospital, etc. But of course, if we had the right data, we could plot that on the map. What we are going to do as well is display the location of each infected persons instead of showing a heat map. And of course, for the sake of this demonstration, the location there have been anonymized. So when we have a lot of data points like this, using spatial filter is really helpful because it helps us to segment the patients, but it could be whatever you want to represent, because you could segment it by locations and proximity. So for instance, there I'm going to do a what if scenario where I'm going to select only the persons that are living in a 2 kilometers radius. It could be a 2 miles radius, of course, from any hospitals. And you see there, just by targeting the hospitals on the map, it automatically creates a nice distance area that is showing around the location I've clicked on. And then it selects me all the patients that are falling within the area I have selected. And so this way, I've been able to segment the different patients and by extensions, the different population based on their access to care and proximity to hospital. And then after that, of course, I could extract the results to that to Excel to do more operational reporting, for instance, or even print it to PDF or send it to officials. I could also do, on the contrary, select, extract, or filter the patients outside the hospital catchment area. And that will help me determining the most vulnerable populations that have limited access to care. And what is important to understand there is that driving this kind of spatial analysis highlight the fact that the hospitals in the north are going to be the ones in tension, and it can help you predicting the bed occupancy rate and potential saturation of some of these hospitals there in the incoming days or week in the city of Montreal. So what we have been able to see during this demonstration, that thanks to the location data, we have been able to perform data visualization. We have been able to get an overview of the situation, and then we went beyond using analytics and operational to drive insight using location analytics. So it will be it for me for the demonstration, and Christian, I give you the ball back.
Hi, this is Christian again after the demo. So while the demo was going on, I received a few questions that I was able to compile and write up on the slide that you see in front of you. So these are very relevant questions, I think. One is about pricing. I showed some of that in the beginning, and I was able to retake that slide, and I will show you that. Another question concerns SAC. Does SAC need a GIS system to run Galigeo for SAC? The answer is no, absolutely not. It does not require a GIS system. However, and that goes to the fourth question here, if I have one, can I reuse it? The answer is yes. So it's no to the first question there on requirement of a GIS system, and yes to the second question, if I have one, I can reuse it. So basically it boils down to a configuration step where if you have assets, geo assets, for example, on an open source GIS or ESRI, and you can address that in the form of a web service, then we can connect to that in the configuration processes. This is what we normally do, and it's also valid for our other products like SAP, IBM, and Salesforce connections. So that's very useful because if you've invested a lot of time and money in creating maps that are specific to your business, then you can reuse them. Last question was about, you spoke about migration path. Can you explain? This pertains in particular to those clients that have already, for example, Webby and are using Galigeo for Webby. Some of them might be using our Galigeo for Lumira product. Galigeo for Webby, I checked with our technical staff, is 80% migratable. That means that it's a manual migration, but you can basically pick all the maps with the data, with of course the same data, and move it to the new system with SAC. Of course, this implies that you have that data available, and they're using the same data, and you're not modifying the underlying data. Now, from people that have decommissioned Webby or SAP for BI, um, the issue you will have if you move to SAC, not to Galigeo for Salesforce, but for SAC, is the rights and the user rights and the data access rights, because in Webby they're very fine grain and complex. In SAC they're simpler, so you won't be able to map those user rights directly, so you'll have to work on that mapping if you ever do that migration. For those that have Galigeo for Lumira, no, you cannot reuse, because it's a totally different technology, so it's not possible to migrate directly. And then for those that don't have Galigeo for SAP at all, then of course it's most likely a rewrite, unless you already have maps and shapefiles that you could use. Okay, so that's about it on the questions. If we go back to the first question on the pricing, I have a slide that shows the price for the different flavors of the advanced edition. So we have a price per user per month. This price here is shown in US dollars. And there are 4 levels: the viewer, explorer, creator, and territory manager level. The 5th level is a free level for just publicly sharing the data. It's a free map sharing availability. So as you see, prices range from 24 to 234. The functionality, the ticks you see on the boxes. The more ticks you have, the more expensive it is. And this is just a partial list. I don't want to show you. I think we have at least 3 pages of different attributes for different levels of per user per month pricing. Okay, so this is just to give you a view on that, as to what the pricing can be, and of course we would be very interested in getting your feedback on that. And of course we finish today's demo, and I'd like to thank you for your interest in attending this session. I'd like to thank the Galigeo team also. And please recall, I spoke about a beta test program for SAC, for our Galigeo for SAC. You will receive a questionnaire together with the recording of this session. And if you have pricing or any questions, please reach out to me. You have my name and email on the screen. So having said this, it's time to close this session. I hope these 30 minutes have been valuable to you. We really appreciate having this contact with our prospective customers, and of course with our customers. So looking forward to hear back from you. Thank you very much.